When you think about wealth management, you probably picture tradition, caution, maybe even an industry that's a little stuffy. While that world is getting turned completely upside down by a massive tech revolution. It's a total reinvention, and today we're going to break down the blueprint for what that digital future actually looks like.
So you gotta ask yourself, why? Why would an industry that's been doing things more or less the same way for 100 years suddenly find itself in this frantic race to change? Well, the answer is it's a perfect storm. We're talking mounting pressure, fierce new competition, and yeah, one huge global event that just hit the fast forward button on everything.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the tipping point, what really forced the industry's hand. Then we'll dive into how firms are completely rebuilding the client experience and their own internal operations. After that, we'll look at how data is the new fuel for all of this. And stick around because the last part is about the one mindset shift that's the real key to making any of it work.
All right, let's dive right in with that tipping point. And look, this wasn't just one single thing. It was more like a bunch of different powerful currents all converging to create this massive wave that made it totally impossible for the industry to just stand still any longer.
The best way to think about it is like a pressure cooker. Seriously, from one side, you've got these super agile FinTech startups just changing the game. From another, you've got us, the clients, who now expect a slick digital experience for everything. I mean, why should my finances be any different from ordering on Amazon, right? Then you throw in shrinking profits and new business models, and yeah, the industry had no choice. It was either change or get left behind.
And just when you thought the heat couldn't get any higher, bam, the pandemic hits. Now, it didn't create these pressures, but man, did it supercharge them. It basically threw the entire industry into what experts call a VUCA environment. That's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. All of a sudden, face-to-face meetings were out. The markets were going haywire. And all that chaos, it basically crammed a decade's worth of slow, painful digital change into just a few months. It was insane.
Okay, so the pressure is on. How do you respond? Well, the first and most visible thing firms had to tackle was the client experience. This meant a huge shift, moving away from just, processing transactions and toward building real, meaningful relationships that are powered by technology.
And to do that, you need the right tools. The things you see here, this is the new standard. This is table stakes now. To even compete, an advisor needs a single, unified digital platform. It's not just about managing a stock portfolio anymore. Nope. Now they need to see your entire financial life, your mortgage, your retirement plans, all of it, all in one place. And for you, the client, this all has to feel, well, seamless. It shouldn't matter if you're on your phone, your laptop, or on a video call. It all needs to be connected and just work. And during the pandemic, this omni-channel thing went from being a cool feature to being absolutely essential. It was literally about survival, maintaining trust, and just keeping the lights on.
But here's the thing. You can have the most beautiful, user-friendly app in the world, but if the engine under the hood is a clunky mess, it's all gonna fall apart. That's why firms had to do the hard and visible work, completely rewiring their core operations, the real engine room of the business. I mean, this chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way. Clunky, on-site servers, endless manual work that's just begging for mistakes. The industry is desperately trying to ditch that and move to the right. Modern, cloud-based automated systems that are efficient, scalable, and, this is key, resilient enough to handle the next big crisis. So this whole rewiring project basically boils down to three main priorities. Number one, move to the cloud. It gives you flexibility and lets you scale. Number two, cybersecurity. With everyone working remotely, protecting sensitive data became an absolute non-negotiable priority. And number three, and this is a big one, you can't just automate the old broken way of doing things. You have to totally redesign your processes from the ground up for a digital world. Okay, now we're getting to what might be the single most important piece of this entire puzzle. If the operations are the engine, then data is the high-octane fuel. It is the absolute bedrock that everything else, and I mean everything, is built on. And I can't stress this enough. If you don't have a solid plan for managing your data, for cleaning it up and making sure it all works together, then all your other fancy digital projects are just going to fall flat. It's that classic saying, garbage in, garbage out. Good, clean data is what lets you personalize advice, grow your business, and truly unlock the incredible power of things like AI. And speaking of AI, it's right at the heart of all this. It all started pretty simply, with those basic robo-advisors, but now
We're seeing AI automate tedious back-office work and even help predict market trends. But the real game changer, the holy grail, is AI that gives advisors super specific insights. Think about it. An AI that whispers in your advisor's ear, hey, based on this client's situation, here's the next best action you should take. That's not science fiction. That's the future we're heading into.
Of course, none of this is happening in a bubble. You've got the FinTechs constantly pushing the envelope. You've got the big established firms in a full-on arms race buying up tech companies to keep up. And then you have the elephant in the room, big tech. Just imagine for a second if a company like Apple or Google decided to get serious about wealth management. They could rewrite the entire rulebook overnight. This brings us to our last point, and honestly, it might be the most important one. We've talked about the cloud, AI, slick new platforms, but it turns out the real key to success, the secret sauce, has almost nothing to do with the technology itself.
This is the heart of it, right here. A firm can go out and buy the shiniest, most expensive software on the planet, but if the people, the employees, the advisors, the managers, don't actually change how they work and think, the whole thing is doomed to fail. The biggest hurdle isn't technical, it's cultural, it's human.
And this quote just nails it. Sustained transformation requires cultivating a digital-first mindset at every level of the organization. What that really means is that this isn't some project you finish and check off the list. It's a permanent cultural shift. It has to be in the DNA of the company, from the CEO all the way down to the newest intern. Everyone has to be on board.
So, as technology completely redraws the map of this industry, the old lines are just blurring. The winners are going to be the ones who figure out how to master both the tech and the culture. And that leaves us with one big final question to think about. Who's really going to own the future of wealth? Will it be the old guard banks that manage to adapt? Or will it be the tech giants deciding it's time to conquer one last frontier?